are locked, my keys are lost, I'm reeking of beer. Well, I'm not fussed, no, I've had.
Welcome to the European Ultimate Championships here in Győr, Hungary. Here we've got the French mixed team matching up against the Finland team. And commentating for you today we have...
I'm Joanna Hamer.
And I'm Luke Tobiasovich. And with a very quick score here from France, a contested huck going up there. Yeah, kicking us off a bit quicker than we were ready for. So I hope you enjoyed the visuals.
Yeah, very, very fast opening point there. France taking that in a commanding style. And if you've been watching any of the streams so far on this pitch, pitch 2, you will have heard us talk about the wind, which is out in full force today. And it'll be coming from the right side of the camera to the left, and then also from behind the camera to the far side of the pitch. So you can see it a little bit on the players' jerseys, but you can see how the wind affected the disc a little bit in that play, but not enough for it to not be a hold.
Yeah, and if the screen goes red, that's the umbrella coming down, just to warn you.
We've got a bit of a setup here with a couple of umbrellas and a gazebo, keeping us shaded from the sun and hopefully a little bit shaded from the wind, but they are quite likely to be picked up and taken away.
So we're getting to the end of the second full day of play here in Győr, and I've been lucky enough to scorekeep a whole lot of games. So I've actually watched the Finnish play 3 times so far this tournament. Which has been fascinating to actually follow a particular team and see how they develop. But France here now with the pull, nice sort of brickmark-esque pull with the wind, that's pretty good going. Finland moving it nicely. Okay, number 21 for Finland. Oh, France intercepting, number 7 there. Gaël Ancelin.
who's written that he is a poaching gibbon, and I think we can show that he's proven that with that point.
Indeed, that was a fantastic run-through D there from him. France just outside the end zone now, swinging the disc across the field, trying to find some space. Romain Chemanouk heavily involved there. Oh, fantastic bid from number 37 from Finland there, Miro Tahti, but unfortunately France locked it in, taking a 2-0 lead here in this mixed game.
Very strong opening defensive point there for France, getting a convincing early turnover and putting it in. Tati, who we saw make that play on the end zone line, he's a big player, big defender for Finland. We've seen him do a lot already so far in this tournament. So yeah, hopefully seeing more from him.
So Joanna, have you commented on either of these teams yet so far?
Yes, I did a Finland match earlier against Switzerland on pitch 1 in the stadium pitch, which went Switzerland's way but was hotly contested. Slightly different conditions down here, as we mentioned, a little bit less shelter from the wind. But yeah, some big playmakers on the Finnish team who put in a lot of work in that game, so I think we're expecting to see them coming out again for Finland here.
Yeah, number 13, Julien Gabriel with the pull, blading it nicely into the middle of the end zone. Finland coming out with a horizontal setup. Slide overthrow there. France try to intercept, but Finland recover, I should say.
And that recovery there, Sarah Hurm, she again was huge for her team in the previous match that I watched. Just an unbelievable deep receiver. They love to hit her long. She comes down with everything.
Yeah, Finland love to set up big gainers with their offense. So expect to see quite a few discs that go further away there. Foul called on the play, uncontested. Finnish player taking the grab and taking some contact there. Yasmina Salmela catching that disc under pressure. So Finland on this near sideline, wind on their backs.
Topi Laikonen there on the disc, who again had a huge game against Switzerland. Very powerful handler quarterbacking this offense from the Finns.
Yeah, Emmy Rankin there with the save on the swing pass, the wind taking it away slightly. France containing Finland nicely in their own third here. Finland slowly creeping out, trying to find some space. Another disc popping up in the wind. This time France collects it. Intercepted by number 1, Alexia, whose surname I'm not going to pronounce right now until I practice. Well done. Nice job. So France taking over just inside the Finland half. France coming out with a vertical set. Swinging the disc nicely.
Oh, an amazing bid there on defense, but this just passed his hands.
Sullivan Robles, a key handler here for the French team, taking every second disc at the moment, giving them an easy reset and patience in front of the end zone. France looking to take their second break to make it 3-0, and a lovely break there from Sullivan again.
Yeah, into the hands of number 1, Alexia Chassigneux, taking that point down. That makes it 3 in a row for France, 2 breaks. And Finland did very well there, I think, on their offensive point, but compared to the French offense, just a lot more, compared to the Finnish offense, the French had a lot more flow, had a lot more movement. Finns looking a little bit stagnant upfield.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Finns struggling a little with discs popping up in the wind there, giving the French team a couple of looks at getting the D. Alexia Chassigneux, I believe, getting bookends in that point, intercepting the Finnish overthrow and getting a beautiful break pass from Sullivan Robles.
So both teams already coming out really demonstrating their very strong female players from the beginning. It'll be interesting to see how those matchups work out. If France and Finland have equally strong women, will they figure out ways to cancel each other out as the games go on? As we see that IO flick there.
Beautiful pass into the end zone. So France with what feels like an upwind pull at times. It's a slight crosswind, as we mentioned at the beginning. So getting it to the break mark is a relatively good achievement at this stage. Finland with a big downfield hug. And collecting it in the end zone. Not able to, unfortunately, there. I'm confused. Was it caught or not? It was caught. It was collected. So our viewers blocked just as the catch was made, and no one seemed to celebrate too wildly.
could have been a very quick spike. Could have been a drop, but it is in fact a catch. You're right though. Quite subdued celebrations from the Finnish team. Even though they've just got their first score on the board, we see them attack that D space very quickly. Again, that throw is essentially a downwind throw. So really nice job to float it out in front of the receiver.
Yeah, on the replay here, we can see the French player really catching up as the disc comes in and just missing it. Number 37 for Finland, Miro Tahti, collecting that disc. And I think that's, having watched a number of Finnish games, this is I would say a pretty clear tactic for them in terms of having a deep game. They alternate between a big long shot or a big under gainer from a long cut.
Definitely. And something that's been so impressive, having watched them a little bit, is that they only ever have that one cut going deep. The other cutters do such a good job of keeping their defenders occupied in the underspace so as not to let them contest on that deep throw. No matter who's going long, it's just one target.
And on the very on the second French score, we already saw some of the de-athleticism that the Finnish players can bring, particularly on the men's side of the team. And I expect to see a lot more of those athletic bids coming in on both offense and defense.
Finland coming out with what looks like a bit of a zone defense here, forcing that turnover as France were looking to go downwind with that. I think a zone is a smart look in this weather.
Yeah, I saw it be extremely effective in a previous game between Poland women and Sweden women. They played the day before yesterday in a very tightly contested game without too much wind, and Poland took the win in that game. But Sweden came back and crushed them 15-5 just this morning. Anyway, back to this game. Finland swinging into the middle of the field, set with a vertical stack, pretty classic cutting from the front of the stack. Looks to be pretty patient. Once again, number 28, Yasmina, taking a disc under pressure. Oh, a violation on the play.
Yeah, Salmela with the disc. She's only 18, but she's been playing for 5 years, and she's the younger one of the Salmela twins. I assume by quite a small margin, but I know among twins there's often a lot of, everyone exactly knows who was born first.
Oh, absolutely. Another disc popping up into the air there, and France number 15, Pierre-Louis Combré, pulling that down. So once again, the Finns struggling a little bit with discs being floated up, and France making the most of it here. France with a 3-handler set, and set with the vertical, a huge gainer there to number 12 from France, Anne-Sophie Bichon. Ooh, little drop there from number 15, the guy who intercepted the pass. So Finland back on offense. 3/4 of the field to get to the end zone. Finns setting up with a 3-4 horizontal stack that seems to transition between the two, but a turf disc there means that France get it back. Quite a few turnovers in this point, Joanna. I think that the wind is really playing a big part here. It certainly feels a lot windier now than it did earlier today.
Yeah, definitely. This pitch has not too much cover from the wind. Other pitches feel like they have a bit more. And another factor, see a disc just out of the hands there. Another factor on this pitch that we've been talking about a little bit is because it is turf, when it gets particularly hot, which it has done in previous days, the heat coming off the turf also interacts with the wind and gives a sort of thermal uplift as well. So you may, if you're warming up on a different pitch, if you're warming up on a grass pitch and you're warming up your into the wind throws and your downwind throws, they may not be that relevant on this pitch because the air is behaving very differently.
Yeah, it certainly feels like your feet are burning beneath you as you walk or run across the field. And again, the wind there pulling the disc slightly further from the French player as she tried to collect it in the end zone. So I found Finland to be very patient on the disc, and I think they're showing that here. I say as they throw away, I've cursed them.
A disc just past Saska Carpansalo there, and fielded very quickly by France for the goal.
It was a very stop-start point with quite a few turnovers, but the general possession seemed to move constantly towards the Finnish end zone, with France always gaining that yardage on those turns, and eventually it was a turn too close to the end zone, and France were able to put it in.
It'll be interesting to see how this game goes in terms of upwind, downwind points. I know France have already scored what is essentially an upwind point here, but it definitely feels like the gravity of this pitch is towards that end zone. Points are going to be a lot easier in that direction. You'll have the extra stress of discs potentially over flying your receivers, but you won't have the stress of holding that flick with the wind in your face, whipping the disc almost out of your hand.
So pulling now for France, we have Gaël Ancelin again. French D-line, including number 71, Sullivan Robles. Again, sort of 2/3 of the field pull. France setting up, Finland setting up with a horizontal stack again and moving across nicely through the field at the moment. Nice wide swing there to number 21, Joanna Milmarki, and a big disc going up here. Finland with possession, but France running through. The wind changing the angle of the disc there, and France able to get the block.
We've seen that so much so far this week across all the pitches. The wind is very changeable. I think both players there did a great job of reading where they thought the disc was going to go. On a normal day, the disc would have definitely curved around to the right, but just there, the wind catching it at the last minute and pulling it further to the left than I think either of them expected.
Yeah, certainly away from Sini Kokkonen, who was expecting that disc to edge to the right on the roll curve throw.
It does make it difficult because there's not much you can do from a strategic perspective to prepare for that wind, because what you know is that it's different than what you expect and that it's going to change during the point. But it's not like you can say, okay, let's try and get under the discs further to the left or further to the right, because you don't know in which direction it's going to go.
Yeah, bobbled disc there by number 13, Julien Gabriel, gives Finland back the disc. And interestingly, France came out with a 2-5 setup there, a horizontal 5-player setup.
A disc just behind Thomas Pfister, can't leap back in time to catch the trailing edge.
But once again, France turn over into the wind there, the wind really killing the disc on the swing pass. So both teams, I think, trying to get used to how this wind is going to be affecting the disc during this game, and the wind definitely causing them both problems. So the positional play here might be quite an advantage in terms of where that disc turns. Like we saw in the previous point, the closer it turned to the Finnish end zone, the easier it was for France to score. A great double defense there by number 38 from France. 39, sorry, Elise Becker, getting the initial block. It then sat in the wind and she had to go and get it a second time. So directing traffic now with a vertical stack. Gaël Salin with a disc. Big puller for the French team. Céline Antoine in the middle of the field. Looking for options, breaks, but unfortunately between both French players, again that rolling disc into the wind is just killed. Finland setting up patiently, resetting the disc back. Lots of space, swinging all the way across the field, opening up play for themselves. And a big disc goes up, again with the read of the wind. This time it pops over the French player, and Finland are able to reel it in. Again, number 37 for Finland, Miro Tahti, taking down another long disc for them.
Yeah, we've seen him be so huge for this team time and time again. He had that disc on the sideline there, got that great swing off. The disc was swung all the way back around to the middle of the pitch, and by that time he's heading for the end zone to catch it. He, again, quite a young player, 25, but been playing for 7 years, and started playing at the same time as his teammates Saska Karpansalo and Iivi Nasanen. So clearly some connections between those two players. This Finnish team definitely seem to know each other quite well from what I've seen so far. The swing communication between the handlers is very strong, and it's definitely worth noting the difference between the roster sizes here of these two teams. Finland coming out with what looks like just 21 players, whereas France have 29 rostered on their side. The advantage of a small team is that you know each other better and you get more touches with the same players on the disc in points in this tournament, but the advantage of a larger roster is this is a week-long tournament. It's very hot. You're running very hard. Especially if you have some injuries, you can end up with some tired legs on a small squad.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it might be one of the few advantages of a small ultimate community in that you get to really know everyone who you're playing with. Finland, one of the more established communities on the European scene, having had a team and a representation at the European level for many, many years, if not from the very beginning. So Finland now coming out with a zone defense, looking to really trap the French here on the line with the wind. France putting up a big disc. There was no Finnish player on defense deep, and the female players open in the end zone there for a nice, easy score. Great look by the handler. I believe it was number 19, Ronan Bichon, who put that disc up.
Yeah, that's a great catch there. We say an easy score, but actually that can be a very stressful position to be in with solo in the end zone. A big hut goes up. Maybe it's not, you know, the most pinpoint throw because the thrower wants to get it off quickly and knows there's no defense down there to get a hand in the way, but it's just you and the disc in the end zone. All you've got to think about is how to catch it.
Apologies to Pierre-Louis Compré, who actually threw that throw. So lovely assist from him.
He's let us know that he likes throwing long backhands and scoobers. We see a flick from him there, but hopefully we'll get to see some more upside down throws from him in this game. He has also played football for 20 years. It doesn't say how long he's played Ultimate, but sounds like potentially slightly shorter than he's been playing football. And his sister's in the French women's team, so clearly a very athletic family.
Indeed, I think the I think there's quite a high propensity for familial ties within high-end ultimate teams. I think having introduced my entire family to the sport, all my brothers and sisters have enjoyed it at one time or other in their careers. So Finland here with a big downwind gainer into a power position. Moving the disc nice and quickly. Then a big disc downfield again, downwind into lots of space. Beautiful cut there from number 13, it looks like, on the Finnish team, Karolina Rintamaki. I've seen her streaking across the field on all the Finnish games, always open for them, worked extremely hard, and this time paid off nicely with a goal. So 5-3 here to France versus Finland in the mixed division of the European Ultimate Championships.
Yeah, the Finnish women making it look so easy, even though they're working so hard.
We have a dedicated crew of scorekeepers and Hungarian volunteers here, providing some assistance to the players by keeping accurate scores, whistling for time, which is you can probably hear in the background of the live stream. And Fabrizio here sitting next to us, one of a number of volunteers who are visible at almost every Ultimate tournament around the world, really specializing in their role. So Finland with a nice hanging pull, sitting nicely up in the wind there, just kept going. Jean de la Valla behind the disc. Finland with a clam look here. Not quite a zone, but a sort of a loose clam. France swinging across nicely, getting all the way to the other side of the field. Now looking to work it all the way back, really work this Finnish zone. It is a zone, I think. They're just quite spaced out. But France really punching through it, making yards all the way down the field, almost to the Finnish end zone, with just 10-20 seconds played in the point so far. Finland settling now into a match defense. Big backhand break there. I think he may have been looking for his male receiver, who had been poached off at the back of the end zone. But the French women in a better position, cutting right across the front there. Number 2, Renaume Moiret. France again, 3 points to the good in this game. Really having a relatively commanding lead at the beginning. Finland not able to answer back early on, but certainly not collapsing. So we could see a Finnish build up towards the half time here, trying to up the pressure on defense and generate those turns to break back. France clearly looking to hold on to their lead and probably make the most of their big roster to keep themselves fresh for the second half as well.
We definitely can't count the Finnish out of anything. The game that I was calling earlier versus Switzerland, they came back from a deficit to bring it to universe point. So they know that headspace of needing to come back from a few points down. They're not afraid of it, and they've already done it so far yesterday.
I think on paper, France may be the toughest opponent they faced yet. So it'll be interesting to see how that impacts their ability to come back into the game. They came off a relatively easy win this morning against the Polish mixed team. 15-5 was the final score there. Poland really not able to cope with the wind in the conditions this morning.
Yeah, France one of the favorites to be in the final of this tournament, looking very strong, had a great showing at Windmill, had a great final there. The other two favorites to be in the final are in the mixed division are probably GB and Russia, who've just played each other on the show pitch, just finished. GB taking that game in a cap, winning 14-9. So could be quite a close race between the three of these teams to see who'll get there in the final.
Could be, although that said, I witnessed one of the most exciting games so far last night between Russia mixed and Denmark mixed, where Denmark took an early lead and held it through the entire game, despite some really athletic play from the Russians. Denmark really were very strong to keep that game, and despite some turmoil, with a bit of physicality being questioned during a spirit timeout at one point, and some interesting field conditions with sprinklers popping up in that last point. The Danish were able to hold them off and win that game by 3, I believe.
Yeah,
so,
and causing that pool to come in a 3-way tie, which is always very exciting at a European Championship level, to have 3 teams locked in a 3-way battle. As we see Emil Wiedemann take that disc in the end zone. His teammates tell us that his nickname is Wide Open Man.
That is a fantastic nickname to have. Very descriptive.
Yeah, just 20 years old, but been playing for 5 years. He's fresh out of the juniors. This is his 4th consecutive national team year, and he begins his military service the day after this tournament ends.
Yeah, Finland, one of the few countries in Europe still to have a mandatory military service. I think countries with a small population tend to promote that side of things more, given that they can't have a standing army that's quite as big. So 6-4 here to France. France playing again slightly downwind, with the wind coming sort of diagonally across the field from behind France to the far corner of the Finnish end zone as we look at it now. It's affected quite a few throws from the Finnish team early on in this game, and certainly when France have played upwind, i.e. from left to right in the direction Finland are playing in now, it's really killed some of the rolling swing passes and given Finland the disc back quite a few times. Currently ducking and diving around the French team that's lined up in front of our commentary box nicely. But it seems one of the French players noticed and has asked them to move, so very kind. So number 9 there from France, Jean de la Valle, unfortunately throwing the disc to no one. I think a bit of a miscommunication with one of her receivers who turned already. So Finland with a chance to break back here going upwind, but 2 French players getting involved there on the defense. And one pass and it's gone again, and a high release, high floating flick there from number 15 on France, Pierre-Louis Combray. This time definitely not as easy to catch as perhaps the last one was.
No, very impressive athletic bid. Got her hands on that disc, and then her momentum took her forward. But very impressive to keep a hold on the disc and not get ground stripped there. The danger with hitting the ground is if you don't have a good grip on the disc and the ground does knock it out, it is a turn. Yeah,
absolutely. Watching it here on the replay, we can see just how much it bobbled towards the end there, making her really come down for it. Sacrificing maybe some skin on her fingers to put that score in.
Yeah, particularly on this turf pitch. So that's De La Valle with the score there. 23 years old, anchoring this O-line offense for the French. Is typically a player on Yaka, the women's team out of Noisy-le-Sec. Started playing in 2010 alongside Alexia Chassignot, who we've seen make a lot of good plays for this French team already. And they've played together both on under 20s, under 17s and under 20s, and the French women's team in Copenhagen. So I believe they're playing on different lines out here. We'll see if we get to see them play together, but very strong connection between those 2 women on the French team.
A connection any one of us could dream of. So Finland coming out now with a split stack. Flooding across the field and opening up a big gainer there for number 55. Catching it under intense pressure from France, Emil Wiedemann. Miro Tahti on the disc on the far sideline. Calmly able to swing it out to number 4, Thomas Pfister. Thomas putting up a big disc. Overthrown slightly to number 90, fished nicely by the French player. Went up early to draw the Finnish player in, and really earned himself a defense there.
Definitely. Gaël Asselin with that great early high leap forcing the offense to go up maybe before he wanted to. Asselin's been huge on defense so far for French.
Yeah, and France here with a side stack. 5 players downfield, 2 behind. Puts up a big upwind hug there. Not sure it's going to sit long enough. So unfortunately, zipped a bit too much. Again, the wind probably killing the disc a bit on that upwind throw.
Yeah, a hard throw to make. That is the upwind direction. We saw the thrower take a few seconds before putting up that backhand, knowing that it was in the upwind direction, knowing he was going to have to put a ton of energy onto it, wanted to give his receiver a bit of space and time, but still not enough in that upwind direction. Maybe having to wait a few more seconds for that deep throw to be on.
Finland once again flooding across from their split stack. Resetting at the back until there's an open cutter downfield. Number 55, Emil Wiedemann, keeping his feet well into the pitch there.
Back to Akiropo. Oh, and just an overthrow.
Yeah, popped up slightly to the wind. Thomas Pfister able to get a lot of great spirit there from the French team and fantastic communication about what was going on. Even we got that one, I think, Joanna.
Yeah, it sounded like the French defender there saying, I caused the foul, that the Finnish man, the player hasn't called it, but I think that affected the throw well enough that I want it to go back.
So we're resetting back to Finland on offense, just outside their end zone. Karolina Rintamaki once again working hard in the middle of the field, and a big disc gone up from number 55. France this time reading it, popping it into the end zone, but number 37 able to run it down. Miro Takti once again reading the French defense there, getting the max disc. And yeah, I think apart from trying to catch a D's, you really can't ask much more of the French player, who got up pretty high to put an early bid in on that disc.
That was a masterclass in both long disc defending and in long disc reception. You saw Tati see that the disc was going quite far, and so take quite a close inside line with his defender, almost trying to fake him out that he might go up early. And then you saw Tati decide to take a bit of a wider line as he saw the disc was coming over. The defender got up and got a hand on it, but Tati able to read the max disc and get in the way anyway.
Yeah, took a couple of steps in there, just pushed the French defender in and then faded straight away, reading that max disc. You can see a fist pump of pleasure on him, on his face as he enjoys putting another score in for Finland. I think he's responsible for at least three of the Finnish scores here. So clearly a key player for them in this in the first half of this game.
So we'll see the French offensive line coming back out again. Definitely a strong offensive line. They haven't seemed particularly phased by anything the Finns have thrown at them. There's definitely been turns, but in such a windy game, it's difficult to have completely solid no-turn offenses, but we've seen a lot of confidence from these French O-line handlers.
Lucy Raffi putting up the disc, and then a nice big disc, streaking French player, unmarked in the end zone. Able to keep his feet in the back of the end zone there, but there's some discussion about whether he was or was not in. We may see a replay. So throwing the disc that time, we had Bastien Chevalier, and the receiver, who was completely free, Paul Bouillon. So we can watch the replay here. Bouillon gets a lot of separation, clearly looking to keep his feet in the end zone. Very close, but it looks like that front foot was in front of the line, so he was in. But unfortunately not seen by the Finnish players. So close enough to be a turnover. The French player clearly not clear about whether he was not in. We may have to review that during the halftime to see if we may have seen it wrong on the replay.
Yeah, difficult to see. The players closest to the disc always have best perspective, and it's theirs that matters.
Poach defense there by number 72. Saw the players coming in, but travel called after he caught it. Looks like he travelled into the end zone and never came back out.
Yeah, Bouillon there with that defense, the perhaps making up for that out of the end zone grab possession earlier.
So France here with a point for half if they manage to take it. William comes out of the end zone. France swinging the disc quickly, pops the disc out. It's a lovely swing play to put that disc in for half. I think the French really showing a lot more confidence in this first half and just ability to control the disc better in the wind. I think that's been the difference for me this first half. How about you, Joanna?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've seen turns from both sides, but the French seem to have a little bit more confidence with the disc, and swings have been coming off a little bit better for them. Again, the Finns definitely not out of this. We've seen them come back from greater deficits, but both teams really need to be adjusting to the wind on this pitch going into the second half. So as the players head to what little shade there is on this pitch for the halftime, we'll take a short break too, and we'll be back with you in a minute. Welcome back to the second half of this Finland versus France mixed game at EUC 2019.
Finland coming out on offense after the half. France with a, looks like a horizontal zone set. Certainly trying to contain Finland. Because Finland's swinging nicely across the back. Currently contained, but looking very comfortable on the disc. France sitting quite far off on the mark, really giving the Finns plenty of time and plenty of opportunity to move the disc without too much pressure. Time, of course, being on France's side. It's Finland that are forced to push for the score.
Like this look from France, particularly it's a zone where the handler marks are essentially doing a bit of a sag as we see Finland burst through it there.
Beautiful IO break there from Emil Wiedemann to see his compatriot number 18, Emastina Salmela, the older of the two Salmela twins. Big swinging backhand from Finland, catching the wind. Finland unable to reel it in there at the back of the end zone.
Great focus and technique right up till the end there to do her best to catch that disc. Sini Kokkonen, not quite able to get a hand on it, but plenty of effort.
Yeah, Akiropo maybe not judging the wind quite right there and putting it slightly too far out. So France able to have a shot at a break at the beginning of the second half. Coming out with a vertical stack, two handlers, 5 cutters, very traditional. Let's see if the play itself is quite traditional. Finland happy to mark under here with the wind, not expecting a deep shot from France initially. France 3 passes up to the middle of the field, then puts up a big huck, sitting in the wind beautifully for number 39. Elise Becker chasing it down, acres of space and separation from her player. This time the throw sitting in the wind, put up nicely with a beautiful angle. And France breaking to take a 4-point lead at the beginning of the second half.
Great play there from France. In that last possession, every single throw, you could see the focus that the thrower was putting with their face. They took an extra second to make sure they were set, to make sure that they had the stability to get enough rotation on that disc. You see here a few seconds thinking about that throw, managing to get it off. Particularly if you're looking to break upwind, you're going to want to make sure your throws have exactly the right amount of spin on them.
So we've seen a zone defense that was slightly sagging off from the French this last point. We'll see how their defense might be different as Finland play upwind. In the first half, we saw Finland struggle a bit with discs popping up in the air and really causing turnovers. So we'll see if that's something they're able to tighten up on for the second half. The pull from France, big, but a little too big there.
It's a real pity to see that disc fly out of bounds. I think an inbounds deep pull with this wind going in your favor, especially if your defenders are running down hard fast after it, you really can't overestimate the pressure that puts on the Finnish handlers, and France just losing that opportunity to put that little bit of extra pressure on.
The number 44, Topi Lähikoinen, coming up to the break mark for Finland. France with the same zone set they were playing earlier. 3 across, sagging off the handlers until it hits the middle. Finland able to break through the middle briefly, but once again, France containing them and stopping the continuation. Into the middle to number 2, Iivi Nasanen.
I believe that's Sara Hurme taking that disc under a lot of pressure in the popping under space. Very, very strong cutter for Finland.
I need to get my numbers right, John.
We need to zoom in on our spreadsheets.
So Finland slowly gaining yards here. Really working it nicely and calmly. Using what France give them. Staying calm under the pressure and just popping it back to the handlers. Very calm offense against the zone. Topi Lehikoinen taking every second pass through the handling set in the middle, that first half of the play. France now transitioning to a match defense. Number 44 unmarked there. Lots of time to decide what to do. Topi puts out a big swinging disc again into the wind, sitting nicely. This time put a little bit too far in front of the intended receiver, and France able just to get a relatively easy block inside their own end zone there. Big swinging disc immediately turned over, put into the end zone, and again immediately turned over.
This could become one of those points where each team starts racking up the turnovers. After it's happened a few times, it almost feels like the momentum is easier for the teams to keep turning it over. It's very important now, if France want to keep this hold, for them to take it slow and chilly and keep this disc in hands.
Yeah, we had a point earlier in the first half that was very similar, and it came down to the positional play. Number 2 tracking back all the way and getting a great D there, Sara Hurme. The disc fading away from the French player, making it more difficult for her to try and get underneath it in time.
It's difficult when you see a player going long with that much separation not to put the disc up. You almost feel like it should be easy to hit them, because if you put something out near them, they'll have a chance. But 2 closing in defenders there. The wind is a 3rd defender, and quite a fast, zippy, high-up disc going to be affected by the elements, so a difficult ask.
So France once again setting up with a slight line trap here, it looks like, with their zone.
Oh, Hurme taking it in again, just going both ways for her team.
Great feet there from the Finnish player to keep the disc in. Reaching across, lost it for a moment on the swing, I think. Lots of pressure from France on these swing passes now. Much more aggressive on the zone defense, giving Finland a little bit more to think about. Some great fakes and quick movement of the disc once again in the middle of the field. Topi Lehikoinen taking every other pass to build Finland into it, and once again Sara Hurme coming up trumps for her team. Lots of catches under pressure. Finland working it beautifully from one side of the field to the other. France transitioning now to a match defense, trying to make the most of the confusion. Finland continues swinging it beautifully across the field. Sara Hurme in the middle. Finland with a miscommunication, unfortunately, there. Swing pass into space. France move quickly to pick it up and start playing before Finland can set up a defense. Big disc from France, taken there by the male player, and continued into the end zone as the Finnish player was assisting the French female player who fell, I think, from contact with her own teammate as he caught the disc. But still, worked across the break side, didn't really give Finland a chance to set any sort of defense, and another great point from France.
Nice defensive pressure there from Lehikoinen. I think he pulled out of, I think, that defensive bid in an effort to not injure the female player here from the French team. Unfortunately, it gives the French that extra moment, that extra unguarded effort to put it in, but safety of the players is obviously everyone's highest priority. So great to see a nice, safe defensive bid there from Finland, and France converting that into a score. I liked the French zone that we saw them put on those Finnish players. In a zone, you obviously are still only able to take a few things away. You can't take everything away, but that zone seems content to let the Finns swing, trying to take away the upfield looks. We know the Finns love their long put, so they're very strong with that, so this zone is essentially containing that. They're also great at swinging. The zone is allowing them to swing, which might seem like if you're going to give them something they're good at, they might run away with it, but actually the swings haven't been getting them very far. They've been swinging it back and forth across the pitch, occasionally getting a few meters spacage up, but not really breaking through. So I think this French zone is an effective move. I think it's working very well.
Yeah, we saw the Finnish team in that point make it almost all the way to the French end zone, before France were able to force a turnover. And then immediately on the next possession, they were right back in their own end zone and having to do have to play through the whole field once again to get back into a scoring position. France with a relatively active and dancing timeout here, keeping themselves pumped, looking to I'm sure, capitalize on the 5-point lead they have already earned themselves.
A very fast game so far. We've had 15 points in just over 50 minutes. So despite quite a few turns from each team, the game's speeding along very quickly.
Yeah, a number of the volunteers here at the tournament are youth players who either have already started or have now described to me as we haven't yet started playing Ultimate, which is a great way of phrasing it. And they are 16, 17-year-olds who mostly have come from Budapest, from a couple of schools that clearly play there, and are staying in the same dorms as the scorekeepers. So we see them all day, every day, and they're a very happy bunch. Keen to get involved where they can. So Finland playing slightly downfield zone from France once again. Exactly the same look as previously. It has been working for them, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as they say. Quick swinging across from Finland, looking to try and gain more yards on each swing pass this time. But France really pushing them back on the dumps to counteract that play. There's a straight up force from France in the middle of the field, and as soon as they get towards the sideline, they really put a side-on force to pressure the Finnish players to dump it back and lose all the yardage they've gained from the big gainer on the swing. So quite a smart setup from France here.
An interesting move from the Finnish, despite it being quite a zony defense. The Finns almost still staying in a three-back vertical stack, so the upfield cutters just now moving to take up a bit more pitch, but seeming a little bit centralized. It could be just a handler sag where the upfield defenders are marking person, but it does make it a lot more difficult for the handlers to break through that sag if the cutters upfield are all in the same place.
Finland now being pushed back right back to their own end zone line, playing currently in their own end zone. Little scuba over the top, beautifully caught there by number 21, Joanna Milimaki, but intercepted by France. And they jump it into the end zone for a quick score. The hard work there, I think, paying off. Consistent pressure throughout the entire point, making the most of that single mistake that they gave them once again a break. So France 6 points ahead here in this power pool match at the European Ultimate Championships.
If we gave out points for calm, consistent reset throwing and handler communication and just overall chilliness through a zone from those back handlers, Finland would be getting points. But unfortunately here, the movement of the handlers isn't taking them the distance it needs to up pitch. It's not opening up new spaces upfield for their cutters just yet. And that's a testament to the strong French defense.
Looks like Finland are actually 2 players down now, or perhaps even 3 players down from their earlier games. I've just been having a quick look around the sideline, and in fact, 2 of the players that I know on the Finnish team are currently no longer playing, so I have to check in with them to see what's going on.
So possibly down to more like 18 active players for the Finns.
A huge blading pull there from France, landing in just at the back of the end zone, something that did not want to be caught by the Finnish player there. Something I would definitely avoid.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we say catching the pull is very advantageous for the offense. It's great. If the pull is catchable, it can give your team a much quicker ability to move right off that mark if you catch it. But right there, in the back of the end zone, on a bladey pull, it's probably not worth the risk.
Finland putting up a big disc into the air. It's going to sit in the wind a bit. Read fantastically by number 3, Evie Nassanen there, outclassing the boys who are jumping under the disc in front of her. Foul called on the receive there, uncontested straight away.
Yeah, uncontested foul call in the end zone. What should happen is that the disc should be tapped in by the players.
And not picked up by another player.
And not picked up by another player. As soon as the Finnish player taps the disc in, then play restarts and players can move. And then when the disc is taken back to the end zone, it's live and play restarts. So exactly what happened there.
Pick called. Finland dumping it back now on the sideline, might have a chance to just reset what they're doing. Swing, didn't find a break connection, popped it back onto the open side. Saska Karpansalo there on the disc, foul on the throw, uncontested. Finland with a chance to reset their play, perhaps reset their stack into the end zone. Another pick. The play here just degenerating slightly with I think a few tired legs, perhaps causing quite a number of pick calls and fouls on the mark. People just trying to catch up with what's going on. Finland with very little movement downfield at the moment. The hand is forced back. Huge oak break side available, but no one able to take it on. Until number 2, Sara Huma made the cut, but the wind bobbled slightly, and the disc just came down from her arms. So France back on offense. Big disc on up to number 19, who's clear into the end zone. Lays out to catch the disc. And Ronan Bichon taking another score for France, taking them to 12-5. Ronan is actually playing here with his wife, who is Anne-Sophie Bichon, and they both play for Czech and have played in the French national team mixed division since 2014. So a very experienced pair of players, probably key to a number of the French defense or offense sets, having a lot of experience here.
And you feel like the French are kind of running away with the game at this point. It's a few very strong possessions in a row for them. It's still not the cleanest ultimate. The wind is still affecting everything and blowing a lot of throws wayward, but the Finns feel like they are pushing up against a really, really difficult defense. They still have the swings and the handler movement that's gotten them so far in this game. They're still very strong with the disc, but just that French wall of defense really putting a barrier between the handlers and the cutters for the Finnish team, making it feel like it's impossible for them to get the disc from one to the other.
Big disc from France there on the pull, but pushed right back off the sideline and about halfway. So be interested to see whether Finland brick this or take it from the sideline. Looks like it's been bricked, taking the possession in the middle of the field to avoid being trapped on that sideline.
I think that's definitely a smart move given the wind. The center of the pitch is a safer place to be than either of the sidelines at the moment. A lot more space downfield from the Finnish team this point. I think they're coming out in a horizontal stack, and it seems to be paying good dividends from them in terms of being able to open up that underspace with big, deep fakes. Tati catching it there under a lot of pressure.
Dragged in 2 French defenders with him on the undercut. Unfortunately, the disc to Carolina Rintamaki was not great, and the pressure from Lisa Labe causing another turnover. So France once again on offense. Coming out the classical vertical stack, cuts from the back. Clean continuations here, but fantastic work by Carolina to get that block back for her team. Gives them another shot on offense. Big disc going up. Fished again, unfortunately this time unable to turn and catch that disc.
That's Tati again, I believe.
Yeah, but Tati showing himself a very canny player downfield on those deep cuts.
Yeah, one of the Finns' favorite receiving options, it seems like right now, and for good reason. Has read so many discs very, very well in this difficult wind. That one just fluttering to the ground before he can get a hand on it.
So France coming up with a split stack now. Looks like a 3-2 split stack. Flooding across, leaving one player open on the break side. Playing into the middle of the field. The continuation looked off this time. Swung across, popped up into the air. This could be a bit of a great read and a great sky there from number 72 by France. Keeping it alive, Paul Bouillon. Another beautiful flick pass to Paul. Just doing everything in this point. France really, I think, to me, have coped with the wind so much better than Finland, and it's made the difference for them in this game so far.
Absolutely, it's not an easy throw into the end zone there. Cross pitch, cross wind, a little bit into the wind, but hung enough with enough spin to get there, just enough for Bouillon to run onto it. And yeah, France running away with it here with a few breaks in a row.
Yeah, Pierre-Louis Combré, who put down on his fun facts that he likes to throw big long backhands and scubas, has so far just been throwing beautiful IO flicks, floating them into the end zone for his teammates. So he should potentially add that to his arsenal that he's proud of, because he certainly showcased it in this game beautifully. During the timeouts, I think the stark difference in the size of the teams is very visually perceived. That the French circle is almost twice as big as the Finnish one. So showing that in this instance, certainly a deeper, bigger squad has paid dividends for France in this game, and will probably do so later on in the tournament when legs and injuries start to become more of a factor. During the timeout, I thought I'd give a brief shout out to the Albino Valat, if any of them are watching, the Albino Whales, as they're known from Finland. They will be hosting me at the Itarai Beach Tournament in Finland in a couple of weeks' time. And I know that they have a number of teammates here on the Finnish team who they will, I'm sure they'll be keenly watching and supporting from home.
Another factor that may be playing into this game is that along with the wind, we've also had quite a serious weather change from yesterday. So it's much cooler. We've got lots of clouds in the sky, completely blocking out the sun. It's quite overcast. There were quite strong storms last night with quite a lot of thunder and lightning. We thought we might have heard some thunder a little bit earlier. So much stormier today, much, much cooler than even this morning, but definitely than yesterday, where we had some temperatures in the 30s. This is much more manageable. We're not seeing any of the players needing to take breaks in the shade the same way they were yesterday. So slightly different conditions should be favoring potentially a smaller squad, because the players not in so much danger of overheating, but throwing something slightly different at the players today for them to deal with as compared to yesterday.
Another huge pull from France, this time stopped to the front of the end zone and moved quickly by Finland. Sara Hurma once again pulling down a popped disc from her Finnish teammates. Really being able to save her teammates' blushes with those grabs in this game.
Yeah, great read in the wind. Saw that it was going to pop up and readjusted before the defense did.
So Finland working through the middle of the field here. Lovely IO lead pass there. Puts it out wide, but unfortunately too low. And the wind really killing it. France with an opportunity to take it to 1 point from the win. Calmly looking around for the options, waiting for their cuts to develop. Working through the open side. Now looking to swing it back across the whole field and really utilize the whole pitch. Keep Finland moving on defense, not really allowing them to set up at all. This is popped up into loads of space. An unmarked French player reels it in. And France are 1 point away from a win here.
Yeah, you could feel from that Finnish offense, again, still they have their swings. When a player makes eye contact with a reset handler, you can see the faith and confidence in their faces that one will get free, but still struggling to get those throws downfield to the cutters. France taking advantage of a turn and showing the offense that they've had this whole time, having adjusted to the wind, putting more spin on their throws, really working the disc all the way across the pitch into completely open space.
Yeah, Alexia Chasignou there was free on the break side and was just able to calmly catch the disc. Exactly the sort of point France would have wanted coming into the end of this game. Showing, I think, a command and control over the game. Finland, though, still staying positive. Laughing and high-fiving on the line. Lovely to see a close-knit team playing for each other and enjoying themselves out here on the field.
And a contrast between the two teams again. Finland's got their O-line out and the rest of their sidelines on the sideline. The entire French team is still on the pitch, standing in front of the line, ready to get their D-line out and hyped up, showing a bit more energy, also potentially running over time limits.
Although it may have been a timeout. I'm just wondering, I don't know if Fabrizio can confirm for us if that was a timeout just then. That could explain it, Joanna.
That would definitely explain the slightly longer time taken there.
But Finland not really taking the account of it, as you said. Pop their O-line on the line. I think possibly wanting to finish this game off. I'm sure they'll be looking to put this point in and salvage what they can from the game at this late stage. But they would be looking at a 10-point streak to win the game at this point, which seems out of their reach at this stage.
We've seen some big comebacks so far in this tournament, but not quite 10 in a row.
Another beautifully big gainer and another beautiful big disc from number 55. And a great long streak there by Karolina Rintamaki. So the offense from Finland there, I think one of the cleanest offense points we've seen this match.
Definitely one of the only turnover-free O-line holds in this whole match, and what definitely looked like a pull play there, a bit of a side stack on the far side from the camera, one faking under going deep, one faking deep going under, and then one faking under going deep. Looked just like they drew that up.
Yeah, once again playing through a big yardage gainer on the initial cut and the initial throw, sort of making at least a third of the field there. So really giving themselves lots of space to work in. So the Finland D-line now, I'm sure, very keen to get a break back off France. Really pumped up, getting themselves ready. Topi Laikonen here with the pull for Finland. I'm sure looking to get them in a great position going into this closing stages of the game.
As you mentioned, quite a few Finnish players not kitted up for this game. I can count 4 immediately, possibly 5, with their light kit on instead of their darks, but still staying with the team, still staying present. We just saw Arni Nagy, who's not on the pitch right now, go through and high-five every single one on the defensive line, trying to hype them up to get this break.
Big disc there from France. Intercepted beautifully by the Finnish player. Read lovely. Finland looking to move the disc quickly here, take advantage of the turnover and the interception. You're looking a little more relaxed here, actually, at the closing stages of the game. They just look more comfortable on the disc, and perhaps there's a little less French pressure with the commanding lead they have. But Finland. Oof. Great acceleration there from number 2 from France, Renaud Moiret, to deny the swing pass from Finland and once again give France a shot for the win.
Valle picking up.
High release break, continuation to the break side. And France just outside the Finnish end zone. De La Valle looking to swing it straight away, moving it across the field. Ayo shot into the end zone. France win.
Yeah,
15-6.
Commanding catch right there from Pierre-Louis Combré to finish that point off. And Finland, as you said, with a great possession in that last point, even though it was game point and they started off on defense, they got that turn and they were looking strong as they did their offense, looking calm, not looking under too much pressure, but a very strong defensive effort there from Renaud Moiret. Gets the D back on that swing, and then France put it in quite calmly to take a very commanding win.
I think France have certainly shown the paper favourites that they were, and I guess we look forward to seeing them progress, hopefully quite far in this tournament, and certainly look forward to them giving us some intense games in the latter stages.
We've got plenty more coverage for you. We've got 2 more games today, and then obviously games through the rest of the week, so stay tuned. For now, I've been Joanna Hamer, and for Luke Tobiashevitz saying goodbye.